Hello there, Aries. Today let's find out what their next moves are. What are their intentions? What are they planning on doing? Let's go. Here we go. 3 cards. 1, 2, and 3. Bottom of the deck, we've got time. So there's a part of them that feels as though they've run out of time, you know, with you. They feel like they're kind of rushed. That's what I'm getting a sense of, is that they really feel rushed, like they've got to move on something. They think that you've moved forward. Unsatisfied. Yeah, they're not happy with how things ended, and they do notice that there's a lot of gossip around this current situation. There's people around you talking, whether it's family, friends, people at work. You know, if this is a work situation, definitely. They're unhappy with how things were left. They do feel a sense of responsibility here, and they can't stand the gossip. All right, Aries, so here we go. Let's try to figure out what this person is going to do next. Now remember, use your very best judgment, your intuition, and decide how this reading is going to apply to you. Let's go here, here, top and bottom. Okay, bottom of the deck here, we've got the Fool. So there's a part of them that really wants to start something new here. They're ready to take a risk. They're ready to take that leap. So if it's, you know, if this is a reading for you that is about your relationship moving forward, know that this person has the energy of the Fool, meaning that he's ready, he or she is ready to make that commitment, take that risk, take that next step with you. You've got a Lover here, someone who is very emotionally guarded, right? This person is someone who is, they don't necessarily want to show everybody that they're affected by things. You know, they try to be very stoic even though they're not. They're actually quite affected by the things that happen around them. Certain words can sting, but they're not going to let you know that. They are the type of people that have had so much experience with heartbreak and sadness that they internalize everything, and they're not always going to share outwardly their feelings with you. So that's why it's difficult, because you can't figure out what this guy's going to do next. He's so driven by his emotions and his previous experiences with those emotions that's why it's really difficult to figure out his next move. So what's happening here is this person is very much having to go deep within. Again, very emotional, right? So they're using their own intuition as to what to do next, and this is so difficult for them, because what I'm sensing here is this was a very painful event for them, and they're having to really draw on their own inner strength to figure out what to do next, right? So again, we've got an emotionally driven person here that's not always very open with what they're truly feeling. They can be prone to outbursts, sure, but it's hard to predict what they're going to do. They want to create. They want to be the one in control. That's what they're not telling you. They want to be the one in control of this relationship, of how it goes. Because again, there's a part of this person that feels a certain level of vulnerability, that they don't want to experience those hurts, those pains, and so they want to be able to be the one to create, to be in control of the relationship. They want to have an upper hand in how the flow of this relationship is between the two of you. They're going to send you a message. Okay, and there's a part of them that wants to show you, look, I've changed my ways. Look, I'm seeing things from a different perspective, because these people get so set in their ways that they get stubborn, and they're not going to budge with their feelings because they don't want to get hurt. But what they're trying to show outwardly is like, look at the new me. I have new ideas. I have new thoughts. I'm going to try something new. They may also send you a message to show you, hey, look, I've changed, right? But know that this is kind of fleeting energy. Okay, now if this is a no contact situation where they haven't really talked to you, they're probably spying on you, okay? They're probably asking around, again, asking friends, you know, work people, family. This is why there's gossip, is because everybody knows your business at this point, and they're asking, have you moved forward? What are you doing with your spare time? They want to know what you're doing, and so that's going to dictate their next move, because if they get a sense that you've moved forward, they're not going to come to you. Again, because they're very prideful and they don't want to get their feelings hurt, so they're not necessarily going to come forward if they found out through their spying that you've moved on. So if you are around and somebody says, oh no, she's dating or he's dating again, they're never going to tell you what they're going to do next. I hope that makes sense to you. Yeah, this person's not going to outwardly, they're going to feel their way around, right? Because remember, they're feeling type people. They're going to feel their way around, get a feel of where you are, and see if they're going to come towards you and make that apology. They're not even going to bother. Whereas if this was a King of Wands, they might be bold enough to just turn around and ask you, hey, you want to go back out again? You know, this person's not going to do that. The King of Wands has that outward energy because they're so bold and so sure of themselves that they're just going to go after you. This person, they're going to sit back and they're just going to wait. They're going to wait and feel it out first. But they secretly just know that they do want to have control in this relationship. Now, recently here, this person has had a lot of time to really heal from this. Something here, because it was so painful for them, they've had to really reflect on everything and try to, you know, get a sense of where they're at. They want hope, they want healing, they want emotional renewal, right? This is what it is. They've taken the time, they've removed themselves from the situation. That's why they disappeared. If, in case you're wondering what happened to this person, they kind of went MIA on you or they ghosted you. It's not always that. It's just that they're trying to get in touch with their feelings. Whenever this person is criticized or words are used to, you know, against them where they feel it kind of triggers old emotions, they fight back, right? They get into their defensive stance and they feel like they've got to defend themselves, and they see nothing else. Again, there might have been some emotional abuse if that's the issue with them, you know, as a child or something like that, to where now that they're adults, something triggers them and they automatically go into the defensive. So that's what's happening here. If they're not able to communicate with you, or if you're communicating a certain way to them that triggers those old emotions, they're going to go on the defense move. Here you've got a lot of noise. You're fighting, you're competing, you're fighting this person too much. Okay, Aries, you're fighting this person too much because you want so badly to elicit a response from this person. You're not going to. These people hold their emotions really deep within them. They're not going to show you. The more you attack them, the more they go in their cave. Okay, I hope you know that. The more you go after them and you create a lot of noise, the more they're going to want to defend themselves. So just kind of watch that. Okay, Aries, if you go after them, that's the response you're going to get. And here, again, this is them. They're trying to have control here. And they may be giving you the silent treatment because they want to establish control. Because remember what I said earlier, they want to have control over what happens with this relationship. And so they're trying to push your buttons, and they're trying to say, hey, you know, if I give them the silent treatment, I'm going to manipulate the situation, then I have the upper hand. But of course, you Aries don't like that, right? You want to have the upper hand, but they want the upper hand, so maybe they're giving you this silent treatment, and it's driving you crazy. Both of you want a decision, and you want it now. You want somebody to make up their mind as to whether or not to progress this, but certainly this is a lot of emotionally laden situation here. You're dealing with somebody that's repressing and holding back their emotion, and then you're dealing with somebody who's a chaser. You know, you want action, you want results, you want it now. You're not the most patient person, right, Aries? And here you've got Page of Cups. Someone is coming forward with an apology, and it might even be you, okay, Aries? But you're going to have to speak this person's language. If you want anything to happen here, what they're wanting is they're hoping that a decision will be made, and they're hoping that you'll do it, really. They're not the most forthcoming person when it comes to those decisions because they're afraid of how it would make them feel. They don't want to make a mistake. You, however, are way more bold, and they're hoping that you are the one that's going to come forward with a heartfelt apology to bring them back. And they will come back to you, but just know that that's their natural reaction, is that if they feel attacked, if they feel like there's too much competition, rivalry, attack, noise, fighting, they're going to go on the defensive, and then they go back into their little, you know, closed off hermit mode. The overall energy here, remember, is that they want to take that next step. They want to take that risk. Again, they just don't know how to release their emotions, how to navigate their emotions. This one decided to pop out here. Yeah, Queen of Cups. So just as I was saying here, you need to come at this, Aries, with a little bit more emotion, heartfelt emotion. And I know that can be a little bit difficult, but you know, you're going to have to pour a lot of love into this situation. Almost like, so you've got the Queen of Cups here, you've got the King of Cups. It's almost like what you have to do is match their energy. Know how to speak their love language, right? You can't come in here, if this was the Queen of Swords, for example, or the Queen of Wands, that wouldn't work for this person because it's too much energy, it's too much outward energy. What they want is their pair, the person, the Queen of Cups, the one that's going to be understanding and intuitive enough to understand their emotions and their needs. Okay? So that just decided to make its presence, so I couldn't ignore it. Let's clarify that Emperor card here. Yeah, Empress. Look at what they want. They are going to, you know, be the one to assume authority of this relationship, and in return, they want their counterpart, which is the Empress. Right? So this is more of that intuitive energy, very giving energy. Same thing here, King of Cups. The counterpart is going to be the Queen of Cups. They want that pair, the one that's going to get them, that's going to understand them. So with the Emperor card here, they want to pretend like, you know, they're the ones in control, right? And I mean, let's face it, this is an Aries card, but this is what's influencing them. They want to be the one in control. But technically you are, but don't tell them that. And what they want is their counterpart, the Empress, someone that's going to balance out their energy, right? The Emperor and the Empress, they kind of complement one another. They complement their energies. So let's look at the Page of Cups here. About the outcomes. Let's look at your outcomes. So we already know someone's coming forward with an apology, and someone is burying themselves in work, right? So that they don't have to deal with their emotions. Person here is going to feel left out, and that's going to be said. And this person may even come forward, and that's what's really happening here, is they feel insecure in this relationship. They feel insecure, they feel left out, they feel like they've been forgotten. And so again, it's your job to pour love into this, Aries, and try to kind of rein them back in and make them feel secure, right? Because this is what happens. This is security right here. Mastery of skills, security. Yeah, the Fool. Again, somebody here, you guys are both ready to take this even farther, but you have to know how to speak this person's language. They want to move forward. They definitely do. Just don't get them in this defensive mode. Yeah, you see that? The Fool, all the way to the World. They want to have a journey with you. They want to start something new and actually complete it. They don't want to terminate this relationship. Let me tell you that. They don't want to terminate it. They want to start it over and work its way around until it gets to the end here. Right? They want to have the experience from the Fool's journey all the way to the World. They want the entire experience with you. Okay? Let's clarify that. 7 of Wands here. 3 of Swords. Yeah. Again, they get really defensive. What did I say? If something triggers their feelings, right? Their heartache, their feelings, they go on the defensive, just like I said earlier. If something triggers their feelings, they go back to hiding, they go back to silent treatment, they go back to the same loop, because something in their past has hurt them so much that they have no other way to deal with this. Anytime they feel pain, they go on the defensive. And what I'm hearing here is that something really traumatic happened to this individual as a child, and they've never really let go, and the only way they know how to deal with it is through just fighting back. They haven't processed that quite yet. So, but yeah, they go on the defensive rather quickly. High Priestess, yeah. Again, this is about mystery. This is about going deep and trying to, figure out, what's the deeper meaning here. They're using their intuition. They're having to go within. Again, you're dealing with a water sign here. Okay, Cancer. I'm thinking Cancer here. That's what I'm feeling. But, I mean, it could be Pisces, Scorpio, but definitely someone that's emotional. Yeah, they want to offer you something new. Yeah. And they want to be able to create balance between the two of you. And see, this is what I'm talking about, balance, right? You've got the Emperor and the Empress. There's going to be balance there because they're counterparts. There's going to be balance between the King of Cups and the Queen of Cups because they get each other, right? That's what they want, is that balance, to create a balance in your relationship. All right, let's see if there's anything else here we need to clarify. I don't think we need to clarify that. Yeah, they want to. So here, when I say that they want to be in control, something happens here. 5 of Swords is about conflict, and words get used. What did I say earlier? They're very, very sensitive. Words get used, and they're used inappropriately to the point where this individual feels like they've been attacked. Right? When you have the 5 of Swords, it's about winning at all costs. And so when you come in, Aries, and you have fights with this person, it can be so volatile and so heavy that they are left walking away, and this is something that's really affected them mentally, right? But they're not going to show it to you, but definitely they want to be the one in control, because oftentimes they're the person that's walking away and getting hurt. This is how they see themselves. You see this picture? This is who they see themselves as, but really they want to be the one in control. They want the roles to be reversed. They want to wave that magic wand and say, I want the roles reversed. I want to be this guy. I want to be the one that does the hurting. I want, but they're not going to tell you that, right? They're not going to tell you that. Yeah, see, again, Queen of Swords. That's what happens. This individual is afraid of the Queen of Swords, that really direct, cutting words. This individual does not like really sharp, harsh, painful words. Look at that. You've got the opportunity here for a new beginning with this individual, but just know that you're probably going to be the one to make the move here, because they want to be with you. It's just that you're going to need to learn how to speak their language. They're going to accept whatever you choose to do with them. Like if you have you want to have an apology, you want to start over, they're ready for it. They're going to accept it. That's their next move. They're going to accept whatever you give them, because they want that journey with you. And they're going to continue to ask about you and spy and see where you're at, because they want to emotionally prepare themselves. They don't like surprises. But everything here is telling me that they're ready to make a start, but they just are so guarded. They don't want this hurt. They're very guarded. Okay? All right, let's see if there's anything else here. Yeah, if you believe that this can become a united effort here, it can happen. You just, again, like I said, you need to learn to speak their language. Get more information. Again, learn to speak their language, right? Because Aries, you know, this might be difficult for you. Opportunity. Yeah, this is definitely an opportunity for you guys to grow this relationship, especially when you've got the Fool card here and the World card, because you have an opportunity to start something new, to heal all of these wounds here of insecurity and regret. These cards here are speaking about this person. This person is incredibly insecure and incredibly sensitive. And so you have the opportunity here, Aries, to take the lead without telling them, of course, that you're the one taking the lead, because remember, you're dealing with somebody that's very sensitive. It's almost like you want them to think that they're the ones in control, even though they're not. I know that's manipulative. That sounds terrible, but that's what happens here. Yeah, the situation will improve. And again, Aries, you're the one in control of this situation, okay? I hope that this makes sense to you. I hope this helps you as well. Thank you so much for being here. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Success. Look at that. That's what's happening for you. Success. All right. Bye-bye.